Hi. I bet you're wondering what I'm doing here. So am I. So am I. I tell a lie. I do actually know what I'm doing here. I'm doing a challenge set to me by my sister. Outside my window, jolly old England, blanketed by snow. For those watching from a colder climate, you must appreciate what a meteorological rarity this is, and I love it. So what's the challenge? Just before December, I got a carrier bag full of brown paper envelopes from my sister. 24 envelopes! Wow! Inside, art supplies. Amazing, isn't it? 24 envelopes, 24 days till Christmas. Inside each envelope, a mystery art supply. Each day I am obligated to use what's inside the corresponding envelope to produce an artwork, or destroy a perfectly good piece of paper. One of the two. Seems easy enough, I thought, so I set myself some extra restrictions. 1. Choose a scene and draw only that scene. 2. Only use the materials inside the envelope, but I can use my own tools unless a tool of that type is provided. 3. If no material inside, I can use up to 3 previously provided materials. By materials, I mean anything that makes a mark, so paints, pens, pencils, etc. By tools, I mean anything that helps to use the materials, so glue, brushes, sponges, etc. So why the extra rules? Well, I anticipated some curveballs, materials that are difficult to use, and the rules forced me to figure it out instead of switching to something more familiar. As for drawing the same scene, I thought that would help highlight the difference between the art supplies. And milling around on the screen here, you can see the actual scene I'll be drawing from. Yes, the same scene every time. It's a classic of a statuette surrounded by fruits and vegetables. Well, that's enough jibber jabber for now. Let's get on with the show. Aha. Okay, so the first item is the book I'll be drawing in, which is a good thing that that's been provided because it gives us a base to work from. Yes, as you can see, it's a recycled cotton paper notebook. So it's not normal paper, it's high quality handmade paper, which is slightly different to your usual patterned impressed paper. Slightly more difficult to draw with certain materials. Now, because we haven't been provided with any materials, I'll be using one of my tools that I have, which is a sharp craft knife, and instead of drawing, I'll be cutting out shapes. Now, I don't have any pencils to work with, so I'll have to cut out on the fly, as it were, and just hope for the best that I don't make any wrong cuts. I mean, this was quite challenging in that respect, that I didn't have an outlay to work from, and each cut was permanent, obviously, and of course I didn't have an idea of what it was going to look like. I had a guess, but in the end it didn't work out too badly, so I'll just leave it at that and let myself get on with it. And this is the finished result. I think it worked out quite well for not having any actual art materials to work with, apart from the book. And obviously I did use my own knife. You can't really make out the lady, but the fruits and especially the gourds are quite striking in the right lighting when photographed against the dark background. Quite striking silhouette. In all honesty, it worked out much better than I thought it would. It was a gamble and I think it did pay off. A single little tray of watercolor. Obviously there's no brushes inside and I'm not going to use my finger. I can use tools, so I'll just be using my own brush and water. It's just a single yellow little bit of watercolor. It's a pretty standard watercolor that you can get in most normal watercolor sets. I think this one was just plucked out of one of those sets. There's nothing particularly special about it. Well, let's see what I can do here. I tell you, I wasn't happy when I got this one, but a note about the paper, it does not penetrate well. It seems like it has an oily surface. It's made of cotton, and after soaking through a little bit, it does start to soak in paint, but the first strokes are always a bit dry, which is actually a very interesting effect. So again, I don't have any pencils. I am drawing straight onto paper, just straight up drawing what I'm seeing. Right, okay, so this is the finished result. I did have to play with the contrast settings a little bit, otherwise under certain light conditions you can't actually see it that well. The paper is already off-white and the paint is yellow watercolor. In the end I was quite happy with this one, apart from it being so yellow. Okay, let's get on with the next one. Okay, it looks like we have a simple black pen. So this is a Muji pen. I mean, Muji do offer other pens, but this is a very good pen for drawing with. And the reason why it's so good is it doesn't smudge easily. I have used these before. I decided to do a detailed drawing of one of the gourds, as it did have quite an interesting stem with all the bits hanging off it. I mean, with drawings like this, you can't really make mistakes because each mark is permanent. The challenge is in the relationship of objects on the page. So this is more of a detailed look. As you can see, there's some spiral action going on there, a little bit of spring action. Again, I do rate these pens. Great for line drawings. And here's the finished result. So just a simple line drawing here of the top part of the gourd, the stem and the little wobbly bits, the springy twirly bits, the dried out leaves. For me, this was just a nice relaxing drawing. More about looking at the details. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, this looks interesting. It's got its own bubble wrap protection there. And it's some gold acrylic paint. So this is paint by Stuart Semple. It purports to be the goldest gold paint. Okay, so I'm using my own brushes here. Until I get something that I can draw with, I will be using my own brushes. Yeah, again, there's no pencils provided, so I just have to plop the paint onto the paper and hope I don't make too many mistakes. This is actually a very good way of working because it allows you to stop worrying about being exact and allow more of yourself to go onto the paper. I don't mean start dribbling or crying onto the page. I mean it allows you to express yourself more as opposed to doing a specific technique or trying to mechanically recreate something that you've learned before. You kind of just trust your hand and your whole life experience of what you've been doing up to that moment to draw, to make marks. It's quite an interesting phenomenon where I found that it's not just drawing practice that it increases your skill in drawing, but everything else that you do as well. And learning to look at objects and being able to reproduce them with movements of your hand. It's not a purely mechanical skill. I mean, the art of observation and thinking about the object, thinking about how it relates to everything else around it in the 3D space. That's not really doing something with your hand a million times. Oh, it looks like my brush fell off the table at the end there. But this is the result. Now, gold paint is quite difficult to photograph because it's so reflective. The consistency of it is quite nice to work with. You can get really thick globs of pure gold if you lay the paint on thick enough. It's not the favorite, but it's definitely up there. Here we go with the next one. Ah, some sort of pencil, I see. Now this isn't just a normal pencil, it is in fact a charcoal pencil. So by being neither a pencil or a piece of charcoal, it becomes both. It doesn't break like charcoal, but it's not as smooth as a pencil. The paper I'm using here is that special handmade cotton paper, seemingly oily, unpermeable texture to it. So here I am trying to make a few tentative marks just to get used to this, because this is definitely something I've never used before. Yeah, I got a very strange vibe from this. As it's a charcoal pencil, it strangely both does functions of either and not. So I can't quite decide whether to use it as a piece of charcoal or just a normal pencil. I've tried to smudge a little bit there and it didn't really work. It's as if it was too messy to be a pencil and too precise to be a piece of charcoal. Yeah, I think at this point, I just wanted to get this one done. I think I'm about to call it quits on this one, folks. Yeah, kind of a strange one this. I think with a different paper I would have had a better time. I definitely want to use it again and see what is the actual great thing about it. I mean, why not just use a pencil or a piece of charcoal? There must be something about this which is amazing, but I didn't see it in this exercise. Let's just move on from this one, shall we? And that's it for part 1. I hope you join me for part 2. Did you think that the yellow watercolor pot was a laugh and a half? Well, at least that was an actual art material. That was a little hint there. Yeah, that's right. There's much JPitch coming up. And I've got rats working under the floor for the next video as we speak. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye now.